If you're grateful for what you have,
Mm-hmm.
you will open the door for many other things to come your way. If you dedicate what you have and who you are to serving others, more is going to come your way. There'll be more to be grateful.
Hello and welcome to the Business of Happiness podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Tarryn MacCarthy, and today we are coming back, ladies and gentlemen. We are speaking to the crisis comeback coach. He is the owner of the Integrative Wellness and Development in Kennebunkport, Maine. He is a success coach who helps entrepreneurs, small businesses, and individuals reboot and restart in terms of dealing with the effects of the COVID crisis. I am so grateful to know him and to introduce him to you. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Michael Deluca. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you so much, Tarryn. Thank you for having me on and for allowing me to speak to your listeners today.
Awesome. I'm so excited to share some of your expertise with my audience and tell us so that we can know more about you. What is a crisis comeback coach? What do you do?
Well, I've been a professional coach and consultant for over 40 years. I retired in 2017, and when the COVID crisis came about, I realized that people really needed help. They really needed help in trying to reinvent themselves, as we said, reboot and restart their careers or their lives. And so I developed a program to help people focus, first of all, really concentrate on who are they really? What are they really looking for in their lives? What are the best goals for them? And how would they achieve that in the best amount of time? And so that's how the COVID Crisis Comeback Challenge came about, and also my Your 9 Steps program for goal achievement mastery.
Oh, awesome. Great. Now, I know that you're not a stranger to crises in your life and that you actually walk the walk, which is very unique because you've had some crises in your own life that you've overcome. Tell us about your journey from how you got to coaching, but actually at one point in your life where found yourself homeless. And so how did that happen? What was that transition, that journey that you went from homelessness to actually training others on being great in their career path?
Well, I think my story is not unlike millions of people around the world who are one paycheck away from homelessness, which is why I spend a great deal of time trying to help people stay away from that. But I found myself early in my career, I was involved in the rehabilitation of disabled people and retraining them and getting them back to work. And through a series of budget cuts, I found myself going from being the youngest manager in the world of a program and having a wonderful job and a company car and a beautiful apartment and a beautiful girlfriend and a beautiful dog. And my life turned into one of those bad country music songs. I lost everything.
Wow.
The job, the money, the girl, the apartment, the dog, and the car. And it happened very quickly.
Wow.
Yeah. So what I was fortunate about was that I had tremendous training since I was like 12 or 13 in personal development, spiritual development, goal setting, being able to really focus on what your strengths are and capitalize on them. So when I found myself living in the street, I focused on where did I want to be, and I never let go of the strengths and the talents that I had. I focused on that. And I made a journey within a year of living on the street, living in a tent, and living in broken down cars.
Wow.
To actually working for a $16 billion Fortune 100 company in less than a year.
Wow. Wow. How do you do that, Mike, when you're literally living in a car and you had certain amount of success before that? How do you not let the negativity and the negative language inside your own head that you allowed that all to disappear? How do you not let that overwhelm all the incentive and positivity and recognizing your strengths? How do you outweigh the negative with the positive?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question and an important one, Taryn. And that is, it's important that we realize that we are not the results of the things that have happened to us
Mm.
and what we have and what we don't have. We are really beyond all of that. We are incredible, creative, limitless beings. And I was fortunate to have a very strong foundation of that. And that's what I thought about myself. And I focused on concentrating on who I was and where I wanted to be and not what was going on around me. This is
Mm.
really important. We want to be cause in our life. To be truly happy, we want to be cause in our life. And we want to not be the effect of the people, places, and things that are going on around us.
Mm.
And so by really focusing on that, I was able to tap not only my concentration, I was able to tap incredible creativity, and
Mm.
I was able to understand how to collaborate and network with other people who could help me. And that has served me not only moving from homelessness to a great career, but in many, many jobs and entrepreneurial efforts. And now this is what I teach in my program to people who come to this COVID crisis comeback challenge.
That's so key because I think sometimes when you just can't find the strength and resilience in yourself, you can find mentors and support who you can borrow that from, almost like borrowing belief, borrowing strength when you just can't find that resource in and of your own self. So I love that tip when it's one thing to be able to say, just recognize your strengths, but when you're in a really low place, that's really hard to do. You sometimes need that other person to help mirror that for you.
Absolutely. And, this program that I created, I made sure that it was available to everyone, especially folks who don't have the economic means to hire a coach, to hire mentors, to get involved in expensive programs. So my program is free. My 3-session program is free. I do a free hour every Sunday with folks to encourage them and help them learn tools and techniques that have worked for me and thousands of other people. And then for folks who do have the means, then I can provide coaching, one-on-one coaching and mentoring. I have some great products that people can use, home study products and home learning, online learning products. But, my key is I'm here to serve. When I decided to come out of retirement, it wasn't to make some money off of people's misery. It was because I came here to serve. And that's the other thing that took me through the worst moments of my life, especially homelessness. I never stopped serving.
Mm.
I never stopped volunteering. I never stopped trying to help other people. I always knew that service and helping others and gratitude and self-confidence were keys to overcoming absolutely everything and anything that comes in your path.
So you mentioned three very important things: service, gratitude, and self-confidence. Do you think that you need all three of those to find success?
Do you know what? If you have any one of them, the other two come automatically.
Interesting.
Yes. If you devote yourself to being open to being of service, being open to create value to the world, to others, in any way, shape, or form that you're capable of, as soon as we open our consciousness, as soon as we open our hearts to trying to create value for others, things start to happen. We attract people, we attract opportunities, and then everything that happens, right? Everything that happens after that, you're grateful for,
Mhm.
and that sets things in motion. And it's a matter of like magnetizing yourself. And that's what happened to me. I applied for 100 jobs when I was homeless. I couldn't pay someone to give me a job, even though I didn't have any money to do it. But if I did, I couldn't pay somebody to but I found that I would attract people who were like breadcrumbs. They were like diamonds that I was following. And this person led me to that person led me to this thing led me to that thing. And
Mhm.
before I knew it, boom, there I was with the job of my dreams. And since then, with careers, starting businesses, helping other people start businesses, and now the program that I'm doing now, I never stopped doing all of those three things, but one of them. If you're grateful for what you have,
Mhm.
you will open the door for many other things to come your way. If you dedicate what you have and who you are to serving others, more is going to come your way. There'll be more to be grateful. And if you understand that you have inside of you everything you need in order to create the limitless life that you're looking for. Those three things will carry you through. And that's what I spend so much time with my clients and with people in my programs is take a look at who you are, what's inside of you. I'll help you work with that and then define what are the best goals for you to set, not goals that somebody else told you need to, because that's a source of tremendous unhappiness in life.
Absolutely.
Right? It's not about what other people are saying you should be doing, right? It's about what's really congruent with what's in your heart and where your passion is and where your talents are and how you can best make a contribution and create value in the world.
I'd love to unpack these three things just a little bit deeper and ask you, you mentioned if you have the opportunity to serve and give to the world the gifts that you have, that could be a catalyst for rebooting and restarting after a crisis.
Yeah.
What if you feel like you have nothing to give? What do you say to your clients who say, I'm not special, I've got no unique talents. How do I give anything if I've got nothing to give?
Yeah. I first of all let them know that that's really not true. It's really not true. Every individual, no matter what they have materially or what they've done in the past, have tremendous resources and tremendous opportunities to create value in life. So I ask them, what are the things that you love to do, that you really do well, right? Whether it's cooking or even cleaning the house or being a good babysitter, a good mom, a good dad, a great pet owner, it doesn't matter. What is it that you do with tremendous love and passion? And what have you done in the past that you were successful in, right? Mm-hmm. And then I start to help them build bridges between those things.
Yeah.
Right. Do you remember, everyone here who's listening and watching us has had some sort of job at one time and has applied for a job at one time. And they always ask you, all right, this is the job description for the job, A, B, C, D, right? And you look at it and say, well, I never had a job whose title was A or B or C or D. But then they would ask you, what are your transferable skills? Mm-hmm. From the job you did previously? Oh, I worked with this computer system and I worked with that software and I did this and I did that. And you realize I have tremendous transferable skills. Well, I help people find transferable inspiration. Ooh. I help them find transferable confidence. I help them have a vision of the future doing what they're passionate about doing, using the skills they already have. I help people become MacGyvers. And that's what I love. Do you know the TV show MacGyver?
Used to love MacGyver. Yes, absolutely. Do anything with a paperclip.
Right. Paperclip, a PVC pipe, some hairspray and a cigarette lighter and some nails. Yeah. And you can make a cannon out of that, right?
I think we're aging ourselves here, Mike.
MacGyver's back.
Friday nights.
He? Yeah, Friday nights.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. So
I also noticed that on your website, you mentioned this one phrase that I loved. You wrote, turn your mess into a message and a movement. And I think sometimes that's all we can see is the mess we have. So what do you mean by that?
It is so true. Our mess is something that can be related to by millions of other people, right? We're never alone in the experience we have. And this is important to know. When we're going through a tough time, we're going through that not only for ourselves, but for the potential of helping other people who are also going through it. I believe we're all connected in life, right? So I believe that just like me, my homelessness was my mess. My career that was lost due to funding was my mess. Jobs that I've had since then that worked out and some didn't were my messes. But inside of everything that doesn't work out is a lesson about what will. And we need to take our attention off the emotional feeling of being a failure. Also, in our culture, we are very mistake and failure adverse. We want to press the button and instantly get what we want, right? We want to put our money in the machine, press the button, and instantly get what we want. Well, life doesn't work that way, right? sometimes we have to go through failures. And I don't like the word failure. Sometimes we go through things that didn't work out the way we planned so that we can learn the way they should be.
Interesting.
Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So let's go to the number 2. You said having gratitude. I think that can be a really difficult place to go when you're feeling really negative about your situation and you're sitting in your car and you're thinking, I have nothing to be grateful for in this
Yeah.
moment. So, how do you help your clients in that regard when they're at their lowest? As you mentioned, COVID hit many people hard. It's difficult to imagine being grateful for anything in that moment when you're feeling like a victim of your environment.
I guess I was inspired, years ago in my first career. I worked with quadriplegics, people who had spinal cord injuries as a result of accidents, or veterans who were coming back, having been severely injured in the war. They could not use their feet, their legs, their arms, or their hands. And we trained them to become computer programmers by using a special straw that they would type on the keyboard and be able to program and develop software and develop programs. And let me tell you, there is no more helpless feeling than not being able to move any part of your body but your
Oh,
head,
I can only
right?
imagine. Absolutely. That's
Ye-
so crazy to even imagine.
Yeah, but they had determination.
Yeah.
They had a desire to be productive and to overcome the obstacle in front of them. And that why, right? And I talk about this with my folks. If you don't have the what and you don't understand the how, but you have an unbeatable why, you have an incredibly strong why, that why will carry you through.
Hmm.
I was fortunate in the martial arts to study with some really great ninja masters, real ninja masters, not the ones you see in Hollywood, but real masters of the ancient art of ninjutsu. And there is a saying that we would say before every, training session. There were 2 things we would say. The first was, in this very moment, I may find the key to enlightenment that I seek. Any
Ooh.
moment, right? The second was, nothing can overcome the indomitable strength of the human spirit. The strength of the human spirit, not the human body, not the human bank account, not the human resume, but the human spirit, the why,
Hmm.
what you get up for and why. So that's what I mean when you can have gratitude for being able to move your head
Hmm.
and not be able to do anything else, because that why can turn into a how, and that how can turn into a what, right?
That's beautiful. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Okay, the third part of your triangle of success here, you mentioned that self-confidence. I would argue that's one of the hardest things for us to find, especially in low points, especially when you're sitting in your car homeless,
Yeah.
or you've created a business that fell on its face during the COVID crisis. You put your heart into it, you had a why, you had gratitude for the success you were seeing, and now you're just lost all of what you feel like is your self-confidence. How do you build that back up in the people you work with?
Yeah, the Latin definition of confidence is with the spirit of life. Confidence. So we can regain or reconnect with our confidence by reconnecting with the spirit of life, diving back into life. I have a son who is a doctor of physical therapy. He was an elite soccer player and had a career-ending injury in his senior year of high school, that prevented him from going on to play soccer in college and going on to a semi-pro or pro career. He was really good. He was devastated, could
I can
not play
imagine.
soccer anymore. Can
Mm.
you imagine that,
No,
right?
that was his dream.
That was his dream.
Mm.
Well, we talked about, well, you can't play soccer, but what were you doing since you were about 4 years old every year, 2 or 3 times a year when you weren't playing soccer? He was going to physical therapy for all the injuries he had as a soccer player. So I said, what if you could help other people, other students, athletes, adults, get themselves healed and back to being able to perform physically?
Hmm.
That'd be an incredible career. Oh, absolutely. Well, the way to get started was I had him volunteer for free at the local physical therapy clinic. And he was so turned on by it that he went on and went to school, received his degrees, became a doctor of physical therapy, has having an incredible career, right? Because he took the confidence that he had from something else and he dove back into the spirit of life and used service, right?
Yes.
Serving other people for free. And that's why the importance of volunteering, the importance of networking, the importance of, being willing to just do something for someone else with nothing in return opens doors. And then again, that cycle of, well, service, gratitude, confidence. Confidence can lead to opportunities to be grateful for every little thing you have and turn that into service. Service always comes back. We don't do it for it to come back, but it just always comes back. It's a key to happiness, right?
It's amazing. I agree. It's really cool how it feeds into itself too, and
Yeah.
can strengthen that increased self-confidence, increased gratitude, and increased service to others. Yeah, that's wonderful. What do you think is the greatest block that you see in your clients in terms of their ability to reboot from the COVID crisis? What do you see as the biggest challenge for them?
Fear. I think that's the biggest challenge for all of us, whether we've lost everything and are trying to rebuild, or whether we have more than anyone could possibly need in a lifetime.
Hmm.
There is that gnawing fear, right? Fear of
Mm.
failure, fear of looking ridiculous to others, or, and more insidious, is fear of success, right? What if I succeed? What if I start the business? What if I get the job? What if I get the girl or get the guy? And what if I blow it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or what if now I have to up my game, right? We face that all the time as professionals. Wow, if I achieve this thing, it's a real stretch, right? And now I have it. Now I'm going to have to live up to that. And what if that is just really difficult? Those
Yeah.
things are going on inside of us. And when, the deeper answer to that question is it's the programming in our minds and our brains, right? That we struggle with sometimes unconsciously. So I help people change that. And I do that in the coaching I do, being able to go into the future and create and experience and live and totally immerse yourself into experiencing it going right, and then reverse engineer it back to what do I have to do right now. I created this daily goal achievement mastery journal to help people reprogram from the moment they wake up, that inspiration, being able to change the self-talk, being able to set goals, being able to decide what's the right thing to do for me today and what's the wrong thing to do. Do the right thing, stay away from the wrong thing, be with the right people, stay away from the wrong people, right? All of these things come together and it helps us overcome the fear and take a future possibility and make it a current reality.
Wow, that's great. How do we have access to this journal? How do we find this incredible journal that you've created? Is this something that you offer on your website?
Yeah, it is. It's called the Daily Goal Achievement Mastery Journal. I offer it on my rebootrestart.com site, which also talks about the free challenge that I do every 2 to 3 months. I have one coming up, May 1st and May 2nd. But if people go to rebootrestart.com, they're going to find out about me, about my program, about the challenge, how you can get a daily goal achievement mastery journal. I created a special program for that, special offer for people. Goalmasteryjournal.com is another place they can go for that. But the point is to do little things each day that lead to momentum. The key to achieving anything that we have not done before is take whatever the goal is, and a goal that's congruent with who we are, and chop it into little teeny tiny bite-sized pieces, right? Hey, you're in a field where, you probably tell people about how to take little tiny small bites and chew thoroughly, right? Chew thoroughly, because the more you chew, the better it is you're able to digest and the better your food will serve you, right? It's the same thing with achieving a goal. We have to break it down into little teeny tiny bite-sized pieces to be able to chew it and swallow it and digest it. And if our teeth are not correct, right? If our teeth are not set up to chew properly and grind that down properly, we're going to have problems. So it's the same thing with our mental teeth, our mental ability to look at things and bring them inside of us and actually implement them. So that's what I teach people to do. Little tiny bite-sized pieces, chew, 40 times, break it into little tiny pieces, a little bit each day, build success, build momentum to where you are heading to something that is wonderful rather than running away from something that's awful. We don't want to be running away from what COVID has done to us. We want to be embracing it, looking at what can I learn? How is it helping me change? How can I reinvent myself? How can I reboot and restart, right? Because everything happens for a reason. And the people I've worked with, and Tarryn, it amazes me, and I'm a pretty confident guy, but people whose businesses were going under because of COVID, I helped them find the opportunities they had and the creativity they never knew they had inside of them. And they would never have found it if it wasn't for COVID. I have people who are collaborating with other people and working together in partnerships they never would have thought of doing if it wasn't for COVID, right? So out of every tragedy can come an opportunity.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Sometimes hard to see when you're in the middle of it, but just knowing it and constantly giving yourself evidence of it. I love the idea of reflecting back on what you have accomplished and looking back at what did you enjoy? What were you good at? Sometimes we don't take the time to do that and realize the strengths that are within us.
Yeah. I think the other thing that's important is associating with other people who are having a similar experience but are motivated to change. And that's why I created within my program, when people get my journal, I don't just sell them a journal and say, good luck. When they get my journal, they get to be a part of what I call a study buddy group support system.
Oh, that's great.
And yeah, everyone who gets the journal immediately gets put into a study buddy group. There's a private Facebook group that they work with. They are communicating every day on Facebook Instant Messenger. And then once a week, they meet as a group on Zoom, and a facilitator that I've trained or myself are leading them through how to most effectively utilize each part of the journal to have maximum success and maximum impact on themselves. And that's free. I pay for that so that they can have that. So, people look at my business model and say, how are you staying in business doing this type of thing, right? Because you're giving away more than what you're getting. But I believe that's what my whole life is about, is serving, giving more than I get, and it comes back to me. And it comes back to me with coaching opportunities for people. And it comes back in other areas of my life and other parts of my business. So I believe, and my goal is to help people. My goal is to help people find the strength and creativity and inspiration to create whatever kind of life they want and overcome these obstacles, and everything else takes care of itself for me.
So what are some of the challenges you're facing at this point in your career?
Some of the challenges for me are not enough time. And I'm supposed to be retired. And so balance is really important because, starting a business and being out there trying to help people, you can really overcommit and wear yourself down very quickly. So challenges for me are taking care of my most important client, and that's myself. Keeping myself healthy, focused. So I'm doing a lot more of what people need to do, and that is collaborate with other people and delegate and systematize and automate in order to be more time efficient and be able to do more and accomplish more and still enjoy life. That's a challenge every day.
I'm so glad. Yeah, I'm so glad you spoke to that, because I think the idea of serving others really resonates with a lot of people who are find a lot of value and a lot of fulfillment from helping others and working with others who are in need. But it is that very delicate balance of constantly checking in with yourself so that you don't deplete yourself to the point where there's nothing left to give.
We need to serve ourselves. And I've had a number of injuries that have prevented me from doing the type of cardio I used to do, cardiovascular exercise. And exercise is really important for our health. But I used my creativity and my collaboration, right? I found virtual reality headset. And yes, and I gave one to my personal trainer and said, look, if once a week you work out with me doing virtual reality boxing, I'll let you have the headset for free, but you need to work with me. And I'm telling you, that is the toughest workout I've ever had. At the end of an hour with her, we do a virtual reality program where we're both boxing, and 2 or 3 rounds with her, and I can barely lift my arms, and I have to stop and breathe. So it's a great service for myself, but I found a way of serving her because now she has the headset, and I helped her get started in her personal training career when she lost her job. And now she has a thriving online Zoom personal training business, but now she's moving into virtual reality, right?
So cool. So cool.
Yeah.
The ripple effect is also so encouraging and exciting to see. Yeah, wonderful. Well, I'm so excited for people to find you at rebootrestart.com, and all of your in the show notes of this podcast episode, you'll find all of Mike's links to his social media links as well. And please look up this new challenge that he has starting in May, the COVID Crisis Comeback Challenge. And will you be repeating it again in a couple months? You said you do it several times a year.
Yes, I repeat it every 2 to 3 months.
Great. So we'll definitely make sure we keep an eye open for that. Mike, I want to ask you, we have some very precious questions that we like to ask at the end of all of our interviews. And so I'm posing these to you as well, because I know I'm always fascinated to hear the answers. But what do you think is your personal superpower?
My personal superpower is helping people find their ability to achieve whatever it is they want to achieve and inspire them to do it.
And how did you figure that out? How did you realize that that was something you were very good at?
By going through what I went through in my life and having to develop that in myself. When I wanted to start sharing that, and I've been sharing this message for 45 years. It's not just since, COVID. I've traveled all over the world as a volunteer giving personal development and motivation speeches. And that's the thing that I learned the most was if we can first start with finding what's inside of us, that why, and understand that once we have mastered using it and are helping ourselves, we can then turn around and teach others to do it. And so when I did it for myself, I had the credibility and the tools to turn around and help somebody else do it. And I've been doing it for 45 years.
Beautiful. And what would you say, Mike, is your definition of happiness?
I think in any given moment, happiness is simply connecting deeply to who you really are, why you're really here, what you came to do, and who you came to serve. If you are connected to those things, you cannot help but be an incredibly happy, fulfilled, and authentic person.
And would you say the opposite is true? That if you're not connected to those truths about yourself, that it's difficult to find happiness?
It really is, because there's no true yardstick for happiness, because it's always elusive and outside of you. And that's the real challenge we have today. We feel that everything that's important is outside of us.
Yes.
Right? Everything we need is inside of us. And with that, we can accomplish anything. I have a saying I say to myself every morning when I wake up: today, I will no longer pretend to be someone I'm not, who is trying to become someone I already am.
Ooh, that is a great mantra to start the day with.
Yep.
That's beautiful.
And I try to live true to that every day. That's
great. That's great. All right. My final question for you, my friend. Sure. If all of these incredibly poignant words of wisdom were to disappear, and if your really great website and your challenges were to disappear tomorrow, there was some crisis of the internet and everything fell apart, what would be one message that you could leave my audience with, an inspirational message for how they can reboot and restart after a crisis? What would that be?
Wow. If everything fell away and you had nothing, you still have the ability of breathing in deeply, concentrating on what makes you happy and what is it that you have to give others that can help them. The road to going where you need to be will show itself. You will find the people you need. You will find the information you need. But it starts first with breathing deep, shutting everything out, listening to the voice inside of you and trusting it.
Hmm.
If you do that, you have everything.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for all the gifts that you bring to this world. And thank you for the service that you give every day to support so many people.
Well, thank you for having me on the show. Thank you for the service you do every day.
Well, thank you. I'll take that.
Yes, personally, professionally, with this show, it is a tremendous gift to help people learn that they can be happy every day. And I truly appreciate what you're doing.
Well,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you, Mike. And thank you to all of you as well for joining us here today. I wish you a spectacular week, and I hope that these words of wisdom and advice have served you from the one and only Mike Deluca. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.